Hey, what's up everybody? Jake here and welcome back to an August episode of What's Hot and What's Not. And it is certainly a summer slump that we're currently experiencing. Quite a few Pokemon card products and cards are currently quite affordable. So it's a fun time to be on the What's Not Hot list, although I'll tell you the What's Hot list is still incredibly hot. Some of the items that aren't really hot right now would be something like the Chaos Rising booster bundle. These are getting a lot more affordable over the last couple of months, which is really exciting, and they are a super easy way to get yourself 6 booster packs of Chaos Rising, no nonsense, and a little bit of tamper proofing because they are inside of a booster bundle unless you get one that's been pre-ripped open. A lot of places have been doing those as well. The cheapest ETB you can pick up right now is actually the Chaos Rising ETB. Both the cheapest booster bundle and cheapest ETB on the secondary market right now appears to be Chaos Rising. Why is Chaos Rising even cheaper than Perfect Order? That is really interesting. Again, at 70 bucks, it's not a bad deal at all, especially if you can go to a vending show and you can find one for 70, and if you ask them for $65, they might just give that to you, and that's basically just retail price for it, which is pretty darn solid. Something that is also like really not super hot right now would be something like a Lost Origin booster box. A lot of people talk about how vintage and older booster boxes are really strong, consistent climber. Something like Lost Origin, as you can see over the past year, it hasn't really climbed at all. And I think people need to really curb their expectation for how quickly sealed products actually climb. There are many years where nothing happens for multiple years in a row, and then there's a catalyst event, maybe a new Pokemon game, maybe a big boom happened, whatever happens, there could be a large spike and Lost Origin booster boxes might go to like $2,000, but that might not happen for 4 or 5 years in a row. $700 is already a lot for a booster box that is realistically not that old. And you'll see that's very consistent. Some other stuff like Silver Tempest, if you bought one this time last year for, I don't know, like roughly 450 bucks, it's basically stayed the same. So again, like a lot of these booster boxes are going to be very slow climb. In fact, if you bought it in like October for like over $500, you might be a little bit underwater right now. But they're not strong climbers in terms of long term. They may be really consistent, adding years over years, but you can't expect 20% return on these products every single time. So that's not really going to happen. Some other cards that are not hot right now include something like this Bulbasaur from the Mega Evolution First Partner Collection. These were incredibly hot for a period of time when that Pikachu was really popular. The hidden Pikachu inside of the Bulbasaur. Not so much right now. Something else that is really struggling is actually this Gengar Cosmo Holo, both from the EB Games version and the GameStop version. And you might think like, oh my god, Jake, it's so hot right now. What are you talking about? The biggest challenge with this thing is actually finding people that are willing to buy it. If you have a PSA copy of this card, a raw copy, maybe you can find someone that's like a super exciting Gengar collector that might want it. But a lot of vendors are just straight up saying pass on this card. They won't pick up this card even at like 70% of market. And that's because they really think this card is like completely overpriced right now, which I can completely understand. There's a lot of versions of this card that's basically under $1. Do you really need this version? A bunch of other modern cards are also dropping quite a bit. This Mega Gengar EX full art from Ascended Heroes was going for as much as $90 to $100 back in May. Now it's dropped down to like 50 to 60 bucks. And there's a ton of cards, especially modern ones, that are dropping quite significantly, especially the illustration rares, and good looking illustration rares like that, such as this Armarouge illustration rare, really solid looking card, dipped significantly, and it's not going to climb, and it's not going to climb for a very long time. But at $6, it's basically cheaper than the cost of a single booster pack, so that's not a bad pickup. There's lots of other cool illustration rares that I think are quite interesting, like this Abopalm, really awesome design with a ton of berries inside of it. And also the Captain's Pikachu is dropping quite significantly. I know there are a lot of people that want this card because obviously it's a Pikachu card, it's an illustration rare, and it's not available in English. It was going for as much as $300 in July, and now in August it's dropped down to 200 bucks, so that's $100 off from its top retail price. So it's dipped quite significantly. These are the items that are not really hot right now. Let's talk about what is hot though. Moving on to what is hot, we got a bunch of really interesting stuff to talk about. Some stuff that I absolutely want to talk about. We got ourselves basic energy cards being incredibly hot right now. And a big reason for that is that a lot of artists use these energy cards to draw different designs on. The basic energy cards from the early days, especially the Cosmo Hollow versions, are incredibly pretty, and they are some of the best canvases for Pokemon card artists to draw their own Pokemon card arts on using markers and Sharpies. And these are very in demand right now, especially if you can find a good basic energy with a Cosmo Hollow foil with really nice worlds. And these are getting incredibly expensive. You look on the open market, there's like 3, maybe 6 copies on eBay on any given day. So some of the top artists who draw really pretty Lugias and Rayquazas and Charizards and Pikachus on these basic energy cards, they're charging hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for their art pieces. And these are being bought up and used dramatically because they want to draw it on real Pokemon cards, and especially vintage energy cards are the best canvases. So these are going to be incredibly hot commodities, especially into the future. Some other cards that are really hot are actually really cute and adorable cards regardless of their rarity. So here we got ourselves a basic Meryl from Burning Shadows, one of my personal favorite sets from the Sun and Moon era because it was Max Mofo's favorite set, or least favorite set, depending on who you want to call it. And it's a super adorable Meryl, and a lot of these are getting quite pricey, especially for the reverse hollow foil. People want these in the reverse hollow because they are shiny. The regular versions aren't as shiny and people don't want those as much. But if you find yourself some good, cute, and adorable older holographic reverses, mwah, those are incredibly highly sought after right now. Look at this Mana from Unified Minds. Again, not a super old set, a little bit older, but not really that old, from 2019. Really adorable, and this card, look at the climb on it. Look at this climb. It was a $1 holographic reverse last October, and now it's going for upwards of $20 because it just got an adorable design. It's got Mana, it's got Pikachu, it's got Eevee, tucking them into bed. The girls go crazy for it, but that goes to show you, you don't have to collect the most crazy and expensive cards out there. There are a ton of really awesome cards. This is a card that I would regularly give away in my holiday giveaway, and I would give away holographic reverses too. And I bet you some of you guys who won those holiday giveaways were probably thinking, oh, it's just a holographic reverse, toss. Well, guess what? Some of these holographic reverses, and I do select good ones, are really awesome. So I hope you take good care of them because you never know what might be really popular just a couple of years down the line. This card is like 6 years old and it's going for $20, and this would have been a bulk card 1 to 2 years ago. So you never really know what might be popular, and I can completely understand why it is popular, even though it's just like a common hollow reverse. Some of the more obvious one, again, is like the Gengar from 151. This one is an incredibly popular holographic reverse. I just want to bring this one up because I know a lot of people ripped open 151, an incredibly popular set. You probably have this Gengar or have seen it inside of your collection. It's not a bulk card, so just be on the lookout. There's a lot of really cool stuff out there. And moving on to some really awesome stuff that is on the what's hot list, but very obscure. I just want to call this out because you can collect some really obscure stuff that is, again, really popular. We got ourselves the Psyduck Pokecune Collection promo card. Really interesting art drawn by Tomokazu Komiya, a really popular artist, and you just don't see this kind of art on modern Pokemon cards that often. So really cool, really awesome card. And there are people that are collecting these. Again, you don't have to collect the Phantasmal Flames Charizard to see like super cool cards inside of your collection. This card was going for roughly like, like $300 or $400. And now it's going for over $1,000. And this is the raw ungraded copies. Don't even get me started on the graded versions. They are going for tens of thousands. We got ourselves Karen's Umbreon. Again, super cool card. Vintage is really popping off. It doesn't matter what you're collecting too much as long as you're picking a good popular Pokemon with some really awesome design. There are probably other people that are collecting it as well, and you're probably going to do just fine. This card is going for roughly $500 a year ago, and is now going for upwards of $2,000 for raw copies. Again, you don't want to talk about the PSA 10 copies because good lord, they're going for $17,000. Woo, that's pretty ridiculous. Some other cards that are really quite hot and making a return. The CD Charizard promo. This card was flat for the longest time, but it's starting to see some limelight. It is the original design from the Pokemon Red game, so it does have some iconicness to it. And there are people that just like the fact that, you can tie it to the video games, which is really cool. Mewtwo and Mew and Rayquaza, Gengar, Pikachu, like if you pick any of these Pokemon, you're probably going to do just fine. The test tube Mewtwo, consistent climber. A lot of Rayquaza cards are climbing quite rapidly. I wanted to pick one that was like really outstanding, which was the Rayquaza C level X. Oh my goodness. This one is crazy, going from less than $100 a year ago to upwards of $450 raw. Again, like, you don't have to collect the latest set. A lot of people feel like you got to rip open the latest set or you're going to be missing out, and that's not really the case. If you're willing to go back just a couple of years, there's tons of super cool cards that are really, really quite desirable. The Gengar level X, pretty much all of the level X have been climbing, and these were considered garbage for the longest time. A lot of people didn't collect like the level X cards. The Prime cards were not very popular again. So cards that were not popular are making a huge resurgence, and it's just because there's just a little bit of popularity there, and they're very obscure. So that's all it really takes for some of these cards to really climb. We also got ourselves Easter Pikachu. I just want to bring up examples of cards that are consistent, hot, and desirable. We got ourselves Easter Pikachu, which I've talked about many a times. This card was going for maybe like $150 to $200 raw. Now going for upwards of $800 raw. It tripled, quadrupled in the course of the last year, which is, again, ridiculous. This is just the raw version, by the way. If I ever bring up like the graded charts, they're doing numbers as well. Going for $1,500 raw last year, going for $4,000, $1,500 graded last year, and going for upwards of $4,000 to $5,000 nowadays. Ridiculous climb for a lot of these. Something, again, if you're talking about modern, there are modern cards that are doing quite well. Something that's quite desirable would be really solid illustration rares from slightly older sets, something like Paradox Rift, Temporal Forces, Paldea Evolve. If you have a really good illustration rare from any of these like slightly older sets, they are actually quite solid. Again, like this card was going for like $70 last year. In fact, you could pick it up for $70 in January, and now it's going for upwards of $120. And there is a reason for that. There is a Kyogre that is making a return in the upcoming Rayquaza set, and it does appear to be a really strong matching art piece for this Groudon. So you can have like the Groudon PSA 10 along with the Kyogre PSA 10, and they would look great as a combo. Again, I just want to call out, anything that is cute and old can be really solid, and it doesn't have to be even like super old. This is Double Blaze, which is a Japanese Sun and Moon set, and this is a holo rare Snorlax from that set that is really should be not that expensive, but because there's Pikachu, there's Torchic, and it looks really adorable, this was a card that would have been put in the junk pile for the longest time. It's now going for upwards of $55 because people just find it really cute and endearing, and you just never know what might be popular. This is a card from a Japanese set that was tossed aside for the longest time, and people are starting to appreciate now, and it just takes some time for us to really see some of these older art pieces as what they are, which is quite cool and quite desirable when you just give it some time for the collecting space to really stew it in and bake in like the desire. It just takes some time. There might be commons and uncommon cards in modern sets, in Scarlet and Violet and Sun and Moon and Mega Evolution Plus, that are going to be quite desirable long term as well, but we just have to give it some more time. Like this Gengar card in a holographic reverse, it might be a $50 card in 3 or 4 years. This one doesn't need any stewing. Everyone already knows that it's quite desirable, but some of these older common, uncommon, and rare cards that were basically junk cards for the longest time are now starting to find their place, and I think that's really, really awesome to see. Let me know your thoughts are for the what's hot and what's not list for August. There are a bunch more cards that I just couldn't make a call out for, but there's a lot happening in the hobby right now. Artists are buying up holographic reverse energy cards to draw on them, and cute cards are making a return regardless whether it's common, uncommon, or rare. And so there's lots of cool stuff to collect, especially if you're just willing to go back a little bit older than modern. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are, and I'll see you guys next time.